Some of you, I think, know Miranda. Miranda Gavin is a writer, activist, and educator using photography, text, and film, and performance. She suggested the subject of domestic abuse, which we thought that it's really important, and it was quite a long time before the COVID crisis. The fact that it's happening now and got the title is just almost coincident. Miranda is Master of Research in Humanities and Cultural Studies from the London Consortium. I'm really grateful for this amazing exhibition, giving opportunities to other artists, and looking at the exhibition now, which is live on the site. It's pretty amazing. So really thanks you, Miranda. I hope I did justice to the presentation. If I missed anything, you're welcome to continue, and I'll have some announcements in regard to CIS at the end of the event. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Shall I put myself on now? Thank you. Am I on mute?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Welcome to everybody who's joining us, and thank you, Gil, for giving me this opportunity, and to all the other artists. I'm recording, if it's okay with everybody, we're recording this Zoom for archive reasons and for people who can't be here today. I've prepared something earlier in the best Blue Peter fashion, so I'm going to let some images and me narrating introduce you to the exhibition. Thank you. The online art exhibition Gaslighting, hosted by the socially engaged art salon Brighton, with work by artists who are survivors of domestic abuse, including those who witnessed abuse as children. As this is a sensitive topic, some viewers may be triggered by some of the content. The exhibition's title, Gaslighting, refers to a form of emotional abuse and manipulation that can lead a person to question their sanity. This is a common type of domestic abuse that has been experienced by some of the artists participating in the exhibition. The artworks selected also focus on the processing of trauma and on healing, especially as they are all personal projects. For those interested in origins, the phrase gaslighting derives from the 1938 play Gaslight by the British dramatist Patrick Hamilton. It was made into a film in 1940 and later remade in 1944 by George Cukor, starring Ingrid Bergman and Charles Boyer. That's almost 80 years ago. The selected artists, Pashian Anderson, T. Chandler, Miranda Gavin, Lydia, Moon Coyne, Laura Noble, Ellen Nolan and Susan Young, use photography, film, animation, performance and painting, showcasing creative approaches that combine media and collapse boundaries between the public and the private. For some of the artists, this is the first time they've made the work public, so the use of pseudonyms offers some protection. Domestic abuse is when one person mistreats another in the context of home, as part of a household, family, or in marriage and intimate relationships. It comes in different forms: physical, sexual, emotional, economic, and psychological, and includes the mistreatment of older family members or a child. In discussions of domestic abuse, there is often a focus on bodily harm and threats of injury, domestic violence, but not all abuse is physical. The use of words or actions that damage a person's sense of independence and well-being is also covered. More recently, coercive control and online abuse have been recognised. These bodies of work reflect the artist's lived experience as children and as adults. As a victim of domestic violence, and as someone who used art to process my trauma, my role as curator and contributing artist is, I hope, one that gives me empathy and a shared perspective. Interesting, the word trauma is from the Greek word meaning wound, And as with many survivors, this wounding also has emotional and psychological effects, often resulting in post-traumatic stress disorder. My story is just one of many. I hope this work provides a counterpoint to representations and stories of survivors created by others. The performance I'm sharing took place in 2017 to raise money for the Penny Beale Memorial Fund, a charity run by Penny Beale Sr., whose daughter was murdered by her partner in 2011 after months of emotional and physical abuse. The charity aims to raise awareness of issues surrounding domestic abuse, particularly the nature of coercive control, which is now a criminal offence, often escalating into violence. Each artist's perspective is unique, and the creative strategies used vary, but the lived experience of abusive power and control in the domestic context of intimate relationships gives brave and vital insights into the experience of ordinary people. I believe that amplifying their voices through the art they create provides a better understanding of the issue than relying solely on the media's stories of celebrities facing abuse, police reports, and statistical data. In the face of the dramatic rise in domestic violence as a result of the global pandemic and the lockdowns, the UN has referred to domestic violence as the shadow pandemic, 12th of June 2020. In the United Kingdom, the UN reported that calls, emails and website visits to Respect, a national domestic violence charity, had increased 97%, 185% and 581% respectively. This exhibition also includes 16 shortlisted poster designs aiming to raise awareness of domestic abuse during COVID-19, and a zine, Tough Cookie, edited by Erin James and featuring the artist's works, the posters, interviews and poetry. I hope that people viewing the work in Gaslighting will take time to look at the resources page, where you can find out more about relevant organisations and charities. This art show, the posters and the zine are a call for social change through healing, speaking out, creating and sharing work, and promoting dialogue with individuals and groups worldwide. This is not about me or you, but us. Please contribute links via the art resources page to any art projects on this subject worldwide, and/or contact me directly if you've had any creative work related to your own experience. My email is available on the message from the curator page. Spread the word, contribute ideas, and help keep this work alive. Thank you very much to everybody for watching that. We're going to proceed with an introduction to the other members of the SEAS team, Ricardo, Charlotte and Deshe. Erin James, who's editing the magazine, will then go on to presentations by the four artists, followed by a break, Q&A session, and then the announcement of the winner of the competition. I'm now going to hand over to Ricardo.
Hi, thank you, Miranda. Yes, as Miranda has said, I am Ricardo. I am a producer at SEAS. So yeah, that's pretty much what I do, and I work 6 hours a week, and it's been a pleasure to help make this exhibition possible alongside Miranda. But hopefully that's a big enough introduction. I don't want to speak too much.
Thank you. And is Charlotte here as well?
Hi, yeah.
Can we put the spotlight? Is the spotlight on Charlotte?
I'm not sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just say a little bit about myself. I'm Charlotte. I am an artist originally from London, but I'm now happily living in Brighton. I've only just started working for SEAS, but I'm doing the marketing and communications. So I'm responsible for the social media. And yeah, as Ricardo said, it's been a pleasure to work with this exhibition as my first exhibition.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is Erin here, please?
Yeah, hi guys. I'm Erin James. I'm a photographer and an artist based in Brighton. I do a lot of work surrounding art and activism, and really passionate about, I guess, just making a change through art. I'm the founder of Tough Cookie Mag, If any of you guys don't know it, you can just Google Tough Cookie Mag and it should come up. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure, basically, working with Miranda to get the contents of the exhibition into a zine format, and also have submissions from survivors outside of the exhibition as well. So it's becoming something bigger and continuing the conversation, which is really powerful. So that's going to be available to buy very, very soon. So again, if you just Google or keep an eye on all of the socials, then it should be there.
Thank you. And is Deshe with us today? Deshe's in Los Angeles, so he may not be able to join us.
Here. Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you, but can't see you.
Oh, there you go. I found you.
I'm Deshe. I do the web and digital design for C's, and it's been a real pleasure working on this exhibition specifically. I've said this to Miranda before. I think I really appreciate that there's a willingness here to sort of make this not just a static exhibition, but more of an ongoing conversation. Yeah, it's been a pleasure, and I think all the works from the artists are great.
Thank you. We'll now go on to the artist presentations, which will be Susan Young, Lydia, Laura Noble, and Pashan Anderson. If you've got any questions, you can put them in the chat room, or after the artists have spoken, we'll have a break and you can ask them directly. So without further ado, please can I hand over to Susan.
So hi everyone, can you see that okay?
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So great to see you all, and thanks so much Miranda and C's for organising this. It's really exciting to take part. Before I start my presentation, I just want to say that it does contain some images of self-harm and some flashing lights, but I know the lights are okay for people with photosensitive epilepsy. I'm going to screen the film, and if it looks a bit glitchy, you can see a better version via links on the Gaslighting website, or via, and that I think links to my website. So to give you some context, why is that not going backwards and forwards? Hang on. Oh. Oh, I see. Yeah, to give you some context, for many years I was an animator directing kind of painterly films and commercials like these. Then I experienced domestic violence in my marriage, culminating with an attempted murder. And I overworked to cope, and that caused a career-ending hand injury. And I had a breakdown and I developed PTSD, and I ended up in the psychiatric system where I experienced further abuse by psychiatrists. And I was seriously unwell for many years. And then I realised I wasn't going to recover until I re-engaged with my creativity. So I went back to the Royal College of Art and I started doing a PhD. It's this one, it's called Bearing Witness, Autoethnographic Animation and the Metabolism of Trauma. And it started with A Murder as the first of 3 films that are part of this research. So I'm using animation to process my trauma. So here are images of blood and skin that represent the personal and visceral nature of domestic violence. And these are juxtaposed with flashing lights which represent assaults, and then text from my affidavit describing what happened during my marriage. So some of this text is from court orders and judgments that I manipulated to give the impression that my ex-husband went to prison. He didn't really go to prison, but it felt very empowering to effectively convict him within this film. And this is actually my version of a technique called imagery rescripting, which psychologists use to treat complex trauma by altering its narrative quite effectively, apparently. So I'm now going to play the film. It's 3 minutes long and it's silent. Hopefully this is going to play. So that's me. I'm happy to answer any questions at the end when we're in the questiony bit, but I want to stick to my 5 minutes. So hand it back to Miranda and Ricardo. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan. And if we could move on now to Lydia.
If you want to stop sharing, Susan.
Oh, sorry. What?
It should be.
Hang on.
That's it.
That's it. Okay, thank you.
Hi to everyone. I'm, before them being an artist, clearly I'm a human being, but I'm a survivor. And I discovered to be a survivor actually not so many years ago, because no one explained me that what I lived when I was a child was wrong. I just knew that my stepmother tried to kill me, that's it. And that I knew that was wrong, but I didn't know what all the rest of the family has done to me and how they kept everything hiding from the rest of society and from myself as well. And since when I start to discover what happened to me, I discovered that, as Miranda say, my story is just one of many. And for this reason, I became more and more involved in this conceptual art. I was used to do art before this discovery. I think that actually art is what kept me alive since when I was a child, actually, because it was an escape somehow. But at some point when I started this path for healing and of awareness about my personal trauma, I started to approach more and more art in a conceptual way for expressing my anger and my disappointment about how society accepts all what happened without doing actually something concretely and specifically changing legal framework. So I start to do my personal path about this, trying to change things, doing research about every topic that I face that mainly is about violence on women, because I'm a woman, that's it, because I'm aware that actually gender violence is just one kind of violence in a big scale of violence that human beings practice to each other and to the rest of the world. But I'm a woman, so I took for my experience. So after exploring my personal experience, I start to question myself why men hate women, but they have sex with them. And in that way, I approached to the topic of FGM, that I knew it what was, but I didn't get so specific ever. I spent 2 years and a half researching and preparing material and shooting and editing this video that is titled Adam and Eve, that is about genital cuts, not only about FGM, but also circumcision and about rape. And after that, a door got open, that is all my work about Girls' World, that is now, finally, I will share something. You will see the work about Girls' World on Gaslighting exhibition. And so I start to do this work with these Barbies, creating this set about what exactly girls worldwide should enact, playing with Barbies, if they want to talk about what actually happened to the 70–80% of women and girls in the world. This was the one that you see was my first work that is about infanticide and abortion, preventive abortion, about, you know, when women, they discover, above all in India, that they are pregnant of girls, they have abortions. So I watched this documentary saying that there were 2 million women in a demographic missing in the world, and I got shocked, and this was my first work with this series with Barbies. What I'm showing you is the way that I decide to show this work, because clearly doing this work, the final images that I realize are just for having attention from people. But what I need more is that they get involved to the topic, they go to see the sources, the link, the data, and they get a little bit interested and also upset if they want, if they like, and possibly then they try to do their own path. So I didn't know how to share this, how to have visibility, because my partner was saying, yeah, set up an exhibition. And I was saying, who is going to see my exhibition? I mean, no one is interested in what I'm doing. So I start to stick around my postcards of this work with at the bus stop. As you can see, I put the image from one side and the writing from the back, with the hope that people, they get interested, they go to see the website with all the information, or they take away the postcards that they are encapsulated with plastic. So also if it rains, there is wet, it doesn't matter. And then they take them away and they carry on doing their own research. So from this work, I then approached to more and more problems about girls and women, discovering that in the 2018, the UN, the United Nations Office in Drugs and Crime, published a booklet titled Gender-Related Killing of Women and Girls. And in this booklet, there was written the numbers of women killed worldwide. And 50,000 women and girls every year are killed by intimate or former partners or family members. Again, I got so upset that I decided to do a work, but then there was again the problem how to show the work. So on the 8th of March, International Women's Day, I paid with my money. All my activism is self-funded. I pay by myself. I just pay for this ad van to go around in London with this number. As you see, there is written in the 2017 in Europe, 184 people died as victim of terrorism, 3,000 female died as victim of femicide. The relationship of this number is 1 to 11, with the difference that for terrorism, we have laws that they have been done within 1 year after the attack of 9/11 in the 2001. For femicide, no, there are no way in Europe to have a proper legal framework. So I've done this activism, didn't go very well. I had the company, the advertising company, kind of sabotaging me, and I then just decided to do again the same work by myself as a sandwich board woman for the 16 days of activism. And after that, let's pass straight away what happened in these days. Thanks to SIAS, I decided to put out massive billboards in 3 different towns in the south of England. And thank you so much for SIAS for this call about the posters. And I hope that you will see my work later. And before stopping, I just invite everyone that is upset or has some sort of thing to say and some skills about art, don't keep it for yourself. Just go out and put it out. Write on the walls, on the pavement, and I don't know, do as me billboards, van, and go outside with a sign on yourself. But art is the only way that we have, all of us, for changing culture and changing society and shaping society. So thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Lydia. I will now hand over to Laura Noble. Welcome, Laura.
Hi. Hi, everybody. I'm Laura. I'm really excited to be in this show. It's a subject very close to my heart. Thanks to Miranda for inviting me. As the show is virtual, and I'm a painter, and I'm an artist, but 2 of my pieces are paintings. I put one of the paintings, the Purple Room, on the wall behind me, so you can kind of get an idea of the scale of it. The project that this is connected to now didn't begin as my project. I was invited by Ali Crew, who's been doing an incredible portrait series about domestic abuse, and she's been doing portraits of survivors for quite a while now. and she wanted to find some way of having a backdrop that connected, that people could choose, that they could connect with. And she invited me to make some backdrops, and I made 3 backdrops, the first of which, Home, is the other piece that's in the exhibition. And you can see there's a similar process. So what I wanted to do with Home, it was very much a more general notion of the connection of home. So I was given 3 subjects. Home was the first of them. And for me, I looked at areas of domestic abuse in terms of the individual, the experience, the way that home that's supposed to be somewhere safe isn't, and the objects and the items in that home that make it unsafe. Things that seem quite normal and that we're used to having in the home are suddenly dangerous things, or symbols of dangerous things to come, or things once they've passed. So I made a list of objects that I connected with that. Everything from a football scarf or a pint of beer to a chair, the armchair that he sat in, or the cup of tea that you're encouraged to have after something traumatic's happened by the police to calm you down. So I listed all these objects, and I wanted the image to be imbued with them, but not to be dictatorial, because everybody's idea of these things changes. So what I did was I made a list, did the research, found the specific objects I wanted, drew the objects, and then painted them onto fabric, which I then screwed up in my fist and arranged. And you'll see a film of me doing that with the drawing for this. And I painted that. So with this particular one, the purple room, it connects to a very specific event, which I won't go into detail in, but needless to say, I did the same process. I made a list. I found items that were connected with the time period that were accurate. So I've got a couple of examples here. So I made things like there was a parrot was one of those things. So I made drawings to try and get the right connection, and everything from that to a plaster. And then all these things were then painted onto a piece of purple paper. And the reason it's purple is that the room that the person's trauma happened to, the trauma happened outdoors, but the actual place that they stayed and the thing that they associate with this particular time period is the purple room that they temporarily was their bedroom that they shared. So here you can see the drawing, which if I take that off, you can unfold. So the paper is very soft, so it acts like fabric. It was very difficult finding things that were easy to paint on. And as you can see, there's lots of objects on here, all of which are, there's no right way up. There's things that are each way around. And then it was crushed up and painted from life. And then the color sort of takes over when you're painting, to keep it harmonious and create something beautiful from something traumatic symbolizes getting through it and going forward and moving forward. And it's been interesting hearing what people have been saying about what they see in the work when they're looking at it. So it's all sort of come together as this series, Crushing Trauma, which is ongoing. I was really happy to get this painting finished in time for this exhibition. And there's another one which I've started working on, so it'll appear on my website. But the film, there's a black and white film and a couple of photographs as well in there. So yeah, and thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, Laura. I'd like to now pass over to Pashan Anderson. And I think Pashan's prepared her presentation.
Hello, everyone. My pronouns are they and he. I have prepared a presentation which Ricardo's going to share. And then there should be a film after that. He's also got, and the soundtrack, which is the newer version of the film too. So yeah, just let that play. Hello, my name's Pashan Anderson. My pronouns are they, he. And today I'm just going to talk about the work that I'll be showing and how I arrived at the work. So the film that I'll be showing is called Crime of Passion. It's 3.5 minutes long, and it basically discusses abuse and domestic violence in same-sex relationships. At the time, I was in an abusive relationship. There was a lot of emotional and physical abuse, transphobia, and it was originally shown as part of an installation. So it was inside a shed, which was a room where the incident happened, and there were 2 screens inside the room opposite each other. So it was the perspective of the victim and the perspective of the perpetrator, because at the time I was watching a lot of crime docu-series looking at the psychological space of criminals and episodic memories. So yeah, that was in 2018. So the new work that I'll be showing today is the soundtrack of the film. So what I've done is I've revisited the soundtrack of the film as an openly out trans person. So reflecting on the version of events and the way that the episodic memory is processed in my mind is very different. So what I did, I chopped and screwed it. I made parts of it much blurrier and much more misty, and there are parts of the soundtrack which are really loud and really heavy and really strong, which for me just signifies the parts that I actually remember still, and the bits that are most clear, which for me signifies obviously the trauma that I'm still kind of dealing with and living with. So yeah, that's what I've done for the 2020 version of the film. So I continue to look into psychological like crime dramas and film soundtracks. I got a lot of inspiration for the rework of the soundtrack from Shutter Island as well. I was watching that film and that really inspired, because that film is quite about like psychological space and emotional space and trauma and reciting memories from a place of a mentally ill person or someone who can't remember. So the idea of fragmented memories yeah, really inspired me. So yeah, that's what I was looking into when I was working on this.
That was the end of the film, Passion.
Yeah, there should be. I sent the actual film as well to be shown as well, and the soundtrack. Miranda should have sent it to you.
Okay.
Because I'm not using my computer, so I can't actually share my screen.
Okay, let me just check.
Yeah.
Apologies, everyone.
One suggestion is if we want to.
Is it online? We can show it from the website.
Yep. Okay, let's do that.
If everybody doesn't mind just waiting a minute, maybe you can stand up and shake your hands and right. I think we're going to show it from the website. Thank you very much. Would you like to say any more?
Obviously, there's probably not enough time to hear the newer version of it, like watch the film with the newer version of the soundtrack. But it's obviously on the website, so that's the original film. So you guys could go and like listen to it again with the newer version that I explained previously. But yeah, thank you obviously for the opportunity to see, because the first time I actually showed the piece in the installation form was at Seas, so it's nice to like come back and revisit it in the same place. So it's good. Thank you.
Thank you very much to all the artists who've just presented. Before we take a break for 5 minutes, you can, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat room, or we can answer them afterwards. Before we go, I wonder, is Penny Beale watching? I wonder if, Ricardo, you could see if Penny's with us.
Yeah, I'm here, but I haven't got a clue how to put the picture up. I thought taking the little sticker off would work, but it didn't.
Maybe we can just speak, just before we close, I'd like to introduce you to the voice of Penny Beale Senior, who I mentioned in the performance, which was to raise money for the charity that Penny set up. And Penny, maybe you could just say a few words before the break about your charity so that people know about it. You're a one-person show with this, and you've been campaigning since your daughter was murdered in 2011. And I think there's a program coming up which you might want to mention.
Yeah, actually, she was actually murdered in 2001.
Okay.
So I've been doing this for 19 years. I'm not totally alone. We do have trustees who keep an eye on me. Yes, the Penny Beale Memorial Fund basically is to raise awareness and train anyone and everyone in the aspects of domestic abuse. I go into schools. I have trained policemen, magistrates, judges, various others. I don't get asked as often as I used to, but I'm getting on a bit now. What I have done recently is been involved with the making of a Channel 5 program, one in a series entitled Countdown to Murder. And I've seen the first rough cut of the one involving my daughter's murder, and it's extremely powerful. So keep an eye open for that. As far as I know, the entire series is on domestic violence murders. And they seem to have made a pretty good fist of it, from what I can see.
Thank you very much, Penny. I just wanted to introduce you at least to the voice of Penny and all the amazing work she does. And she was a great support to me when I was going through court and aftermath of my experience. We'll now take a 5-minute break. I'm sure everybody would like a little bit of time to have a cup of tea or something, or walk around, and we'll reconvene in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Susan, because I see you there. Can you hear me?
I
Ah,
can.
Miranda is back. Sorry, Susan. Just one thing to Susan. Susan, your movie was really incredible. Thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Very powerful work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I loved your vans with the message on. That's amazing activism.
Thank you very much.
Is everybody back, do you think, or do you think we're having a long break? Has anyone seen Ricardo? Or
I can't see everybody.
I'm here.
Hi.
Hi. Yes, so I think people will be returning, so
Great.
we can carry.
Just going to get myself some water, and then we can. I've put in the chat room if people want to ask questions, and if they say if they're directed to anyone specifically, as we mentioned earlier.
Miranda, sorry, as I said, I'm kind of blind, so I'm not going to read the chat. If for any reason there is some question for me, please. And because I didn't mention at all my website, but in these days I put on the work, the billboards, and with a reference of what I'm talking about on my Instagram, I will just change my name, so if people they want eventually go straight away, they can find there. Okay, thank you.
Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah. Well, I think I've asked either Ricardo or Charlotte to check the chat.
Yeah, so far there's no questions as I can see, but if people have any, do write them down and we can recite them for you.
If they don't, we'll just carry on. But and I won't ask loads of questions because usually I do, but
if people are more comfortable in raising their hand and ask the question rather than write it, it's fine. So just do that and we'll try to find you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think we've got one from Erin to Pashan.
Yeah, I just saw that. The process of like making the film wasn't really difficult per se. The hardest part was finding two people who could kind of like, who I could kind of choreograph movement with. So like I had to search through like my uni and like dance groups through Brighton and stuff. So that was actually the hardest part, and like building the shed and then moving the shed to my degree show like exhibition space from the studio, and then moving it again to C's, because obviously I had to deinstall the whole thing and then put it up about 3 times.
Wow.
So that was like the hardest part of like the process. But like in terms of emotionally, I was still in it, and I still lived with the person, and we were still fighting, and it was still going on. So I didn't actually have time to process it myself until like recently, even, to be honest. So watching it back the first time, like I felt a way about it, because I've never watched it since I showed it. Like I don't watch it. So yeah, that was the kind of the hardest part of revisiting it for this exhibition, and then obviously redoing the soundtrack. But yeah, the actual process of making, like the filmmaking aspects of it, I enjoy that. And I've been doing that for a long time, so that wasn't really the difficult part. So yeah.
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
The sort of doll in the corner of the room, can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Oh, that was just from another film, because I kind of recreated what my living room looked like into a shed, into a small shed, and those were just stuff from my living room. So
okay, it
was from another film, because me and my friend, we make masks for other films. My other films are very different. This is the only serious film I really have. To be honest, because I do like animation and all different other things, so that is really of no relevance. It's just for me, because in my mind I was remaking a space that these things were happening, and that was literally part of the space. Yeah,
because it seemed to be an audience for what was going on.
Yeah, that was when I was doing my research. That was like, I hinted to that because I looked into surveillance as well. So I'm glad that you picked up on that. So yeah.
Is there any questions? Where are we?
Thank you. Does anybody else have any other questions that they'd like to ask directly or in the chat room? Anyone out there?
People are very shy.
A last question.
Come on, lots of questions.
It's for all of the amazing artists in this exhibition. Because of the work is so close to the bone and is so personal, how you manage to, and if you manage to distance yourself when you're actually showing it and going through the process of approaching curators, the media, etc., all of the stuff that artists need to do after they create their work. And I think when it's so personal, I think it's by far more difficult.
Shall I answer that?
Please do.
I found it helpful because I'm doing it as part of my PhD. When I discovered the concept of autoethnography as a methodology, which is the using words or film or painting or performance to express personal experiences with the aim of making wider socio-cultural political points. So there's a context to it. And I think that really helps because it actually enables you to kind of think, well, what am I trying to do further with this piece? So for me, I'm making my films as part of my practice, as part of my PhD, but also to raise awareness. So there is a kind of degree of separation, even though it's still incredibly personal. There's a kind of purpose that I feel I'm engaged with it with work. So that this film, the murder film, it's related obviously to domestic violence, but my second and third films are kind of critiques of psychiatry. And I'm going out with those films and actually showing them to psychiatrists, etc., and actually kind of trying to start a conversation and trying to make them think again. So I think making art about our experiences is really difficult, but it's important to do because it does actually give us a voice. As Miranda was saying at the beginning, we're actually creating a voice for ourselves by doing this work and then searching for ways to kind of screen it or have it seen. So I think that really helps, even though it's quite scary to do this work. I don't know what everybody else thinks.
Is there anybody else? Any of the artists would like to comment?
Can I, Lydia? For me, actually, is very difficult, the process of producing something about me. And I must say that if someone will take a look on my website, is all very about building awareness, about social injustice or social events, but only two works are really autobiographic. And the autobiographic material is very painful to realize because I have really to dig inside and put myself in front of a mirror. I process basically what really happened. But once that is done, I feel just so like if I had an indigestion and I've been able to vomit, sorry, but this is literally the feeling, and I feel it just so relieved and empty. And about getting connected with the curator or galleries, actually, Gil, this is one of my big problems, and this is the reason why I decide to put stuff in the street, because I'm aware that the market of art is just a niche. And if I wait to be accepted from this niche, no way. I mean, literally no way. So whatever is the way for having out the material, because clearly curator or galleries are a fantastic way to have out your material, because it means also that you have economic recognition. Instead of doing what I do, I don't have economic recognition, and I spend actually a lot of money that I earn doing other works. But I have to work out, I communicate with people, and I have the hope that maybe one day, you know, some institution will just maybe approach me and commission me something. But I have your same question for the other artists. If they have been able to approach with their work or with some sort of work that arrive from this sort of path that is very intense. And often people, they define my work unnecessarily disturbing. That is, I don't know, how can you talk about some sort of topic without being disturbing, actually? But if someone can give good advice about how to approach the actually people of the market, would be fantastic to know.
There's Rosie Martin has a question, and I don't know if anyone can find Rosie, but I've got a question from Rosie. Rosie, hello, and are you there? Can anyone find Rosie at the moment?
Rose is just below me.
Hi, Rosie.
But it's got to unmute the microphone.
Unmute Rosie.
So can I unmute myself?
There you are.
And Rosie, could you just let everybody know who you are, because you are a very important artist, woman, in terms of lots of work. So maybe you could just introduce yourself first before the question.
Yes, of course. Well, I was actually going to address that whole question about how one makes work publicly and what it means to make personal work and how people respond to personal work when you put yourself in the picture. I started doing phototherapy with Joe Spence in 1983. So what are we talking about now? 35 years or something? And you get punished by the public. Oh, what are you making personal work for? Why are you showing yourself? Why are you talking about these personal things?
Just going to ruin
People are just about beginning to want to show the work now, but it's very, very, very hard. And you will get a lot of backlash. So for those of you who are making this kind of work, I would say protect yourself. And be careful what you show, and be careful how you feel when someone else dumps their shit on you, because they will. They will, because it's very uncomfortable. People feel uncomfortable in the presence of your work, but they don't see it as work. They just go bleh, and they dump their stuff on you. So you have to be extra strong. But it's also very good to do. I think some of the work I've seen today has been completely wonderful. Marvelous work. I'm delighted to be seeing it. But all I'm saying is protect yourself, feel strong enough, do all that personal work on yourself that I know you're having to do in order to be at this stage that you can make this work. But don't be surprised if people dump their shit on you, because they will.
Could I say something?
Yeah.
Briefly? I think one of the things that's really key here is what Miranda's done, what you've done, and I've worked with both of you. I'm in the lucky position to have done that. But one thing that I've found with this sort of work, and also collaborating with Ali, is that it's about building your own communities and not feeling that you have to conform to the gatekeepers and the rules that are there that try and slow these things down. The statistics kind of show that people don't want to see about this and they don't want to talk about it, but actually it's real, and we know it's real, and we have the figures to show how terrifying it is in the situation we're in with COVID as well. And I think what's been wonderful about this is each time you take a step further forward, whether it's with your work, with a connection, and you hold on to that and you take those people with you moving forward, you build on it. Miranda's done that by drawing artists from that I didn't know about before, and I'm really happy to work with. I've got a cat about to interrupt my feed. And it's been really wonderful. And I think it's often about being generous and everybody participating, everyone who's on the chat now, sharing it and casting the net wider and keeping the ball rolling and making it further interactive and more connections. The billboard that Lydia's put up is amazing, and I hope people who walk past that will take a picture of it on Instagram and post it out there. I think that's what's been really key here, and we'll keep doing so as it's up and it stays online.
Thank you. I'd like
Oh, sorry, Miranda. Can I just mention one thing about what Rosie said that is a very good point? Because when I started to do something that was not even about me, it was about genital cuts and rape, I lost the 5 people that I thought that they were kind of friends. When they have seen the video, they didn't get back to me ever anymore. And they've been the first people that I send the video for having some feedback and to know in which direction to go. But whatever, you are totally correct. This is what is going to happen when you present some sort of work that society doesn't want face. But the interesting thing, by the way, that an artist as Tracy Amy has been defined confessional artist. The point is the topic that you face. If something is considered sexy and interesting for society, it can be personal as much as you want. The problem that what we are talking about here is literally something that for society is uncomfortable, because for tackle this problem, for facing this problem, means to change in a systematic way the approach of society, to each other, the way that we approach each other, the way that we approach ourselves with the rest of the world. And this is the big problem. So sorry, I just want to mention this just for giving a definition about the problem that you mentioned, because if we just talk about, our sexual life and it's personal, but it's cool and it's so sexy and interesting for everyone. But if we talk about something like that, that is so uncomfortable because put all of us in discussion, is just a lot of shit coming back. Excuse me for my French.
I just will add a little bit. Thank you, Rosie. Rosie was very supportive to me when I showed some work last year that was extremely personal. It was about childhood sexual abuse. So there's been trauma, and looking at how art is a way of processing it. For me personally, I'd say there's 2 things. One, I felt absolutely compelled to create work. I didn't make work with any intention of it being really seen by anyone. The act of making the work was something that was compelling. Being able to disembody in terms of doing something, actions, mark making, performing, moving my body, because I felt very disassociated. Also, time frame. Sometimes I've had to take a lot of time to be able to process and then be able to be brave enough and secure enough and held enough to put it out there. And actually the context in which this work is shown, thank you to Sayas, and thank you to all of these artists. I said in an interview with Erin, it's like having a little plant with 2 leaves, and you've got the right soil, the right environment, and if you can hold that, you can let it flourish. But if it's in the wrong environment, one puff and it's gone. And I've been extremely vigilant of how people have reacted to my story, whether people are uncomfortable, they turn away, they don't talk to me. So it's partly speaking out, allows people to come together and being able to self-care, but also set up a community of people who have a shared understanding. And it's also time that we looked at how trauma is processed and models of dealing with trauma individually and intergenerationally. And on that note, I think I should talk about handing over to, if that's okay, to Gil and to the poster competition.
You're muted, Gil.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Miranda, for the strong words and for the really interesting conversation with all of the artists. We decided to do poster competition as part of CIS is as much as art as activism, and this was, one way to generate more content that can be viewed with the public in kind of quite direct messages. The poster competition, or the results of it, the poster will be presented at the BMECP, the Black and Ethnic Minority Community Center. It's planned to be installed this week at the Jubilee Library, facing outside, which is very, very one of the most kind of visible places in Brighton, but due to the lockdown, this will be postponed, but we will have the posters at the library for 3 weeks. I don't have the exact detail here, but end of March and April. And we will get in touch with all of you via email and on our website when it happens. Miranda, do you want to continue?
Yeah, thank you. Do we have some of the posters to show? And then what I'd like to do is spotlight Christine Webster, one of the judges, an amazing woman who gave her time, as well as Barry Adamson, who can't be here, who's a multi-talented musician, filmmaker. He can't be here, but Christine is going to announce the winner of the poster competition. And maybe we can have a look at some of the 16 shortlisted posters. Is that possible?
Ricardo, can you put the poster from the website? It's just at the beginning of the website, or I can share the screen.
If you can. So the call went out as wide as we could, and we got some amazing entries through, and you're going to see 16 shortlisted entries by 3 of the judges, Gil, Christine and Barry. And then they selected the winner. So here we go.
Yeah, there is a contribution of mine, which I couldn't resist, wasn't part of the competition. So. You can press on each of the posters, as far as I remember, to make it bigger.
Sorry, everyone. I think I'm having issues with my internet.
Don't worry. Maybe just go back to the smaller ones for now. And people can visit the website to look at the images.
Yeah, Gil, if you do want to
Ricardo, yeah, I'll share screen. Give me a second.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Share screen. Share. Okay, so everybody sees?
Yeah.
Let's just go on. Okay.
If we go through some of them, then people can get an idea of the standard of entries was amazing and the various ways people interpreted the theme.
I can't see the names when I'm doing this view, but if you go on the website, you can see the names in the general screen.
Thank you.
And you have description of the posters also from the general view screen. I think that was the last one. And the view of them, if it's from that screen or the main screen of the exhibition, and it's here. Yeah, I think that for now, if there is any issues, maybe there might be any issues of the details that I just noticed now. So it will be corrected later this afternoon with the names and details of the posters. Miranda? You are muted.
I wonder if we could try and find Christine Webster. Christine is one of the judges, and she's kindly given her time to talk a little bit about the posters before we announce the winner. So Christine, is there any way that you could make yourself, while we're doing that, I just like Barry sent me a message, Barry Adamson. So while I'm speaking, I'll just say that Barry said, honoured to be one of the judges for this poster design competition. Some really great work was submitted. I'm sending my congratulations to the winners. Have we managed to find Christine?
I'm here.
Hi, Christine.
Hi.
Thank you, Christine. So we hand over to you, and maybe you can introduce yourself and I'll mute myself.
Okay. So can everybody hear me? Yeah. Okay, good. I'll just introduce myself really briefly because I'm kind of wearing two hats. I'm a therapist, so I'm working, helping clients process trauma from domestic abuse, either physical, verbal, coercive control, economic, psychological. So that's one of my ways into this work. And also I'm an artist as well, and I worked as the course leader of the BA Honours Photography and Video at Cambridge School of Art. And just before I move on, I just wanted to say, because of my relationship with video, how much I really enjoyed Pashan's video and the powerful use of the split screen, and how that kind of put me in mind of thinking about the kind of flashbacks that I see in traumatized clients. So yeah, thank you for that, Pashan. And also I wanted to mention another thing that really touched me was Susan Young's work with the, there's a video that's actually on her Susan Young animation site, and I'm not sure if it's part of the show. I don't think it is. It's a sort of menacing video with a distorted male voice, and then it represents not only her abuser, but the betrayal of her psychiatrist. So I found this very interesting, and also the drugs and so on. So wonderful, really powerful. So recommend to have a look at that. And I'd like to see Pashan's with the new soundtrack as well. So I guess we'll have to go on the site for that. And then just to say, moving on to the poster competition, the high quality of submissions and how much I've really enjoyed engaging with and, you know, being a part of this, how hard it was to make decisions about a winner in this type of, this type of competition. And just highlighting a couple of little things I wanted to say was I was really pleased to see sort of representation of men as well, because of course this is very much an issue, primarily about 75% with women. So just to see representation of men with some of the work like Federico Gallo's Painted Head, and James, who did a kind of non-gender, very graphic poster, and of course representation of LGBTQ representation with Pashan's work and Benji as well. So I was really pleased to see that the range of work, also the range of genres with painting, collage, Susan Plover's TV Man with the little tiny Mother Mary. So I've been really enjoyed looking at this, engaging with this. But moving on, I'm going to go straight to what I'm here to announce, which is the winner, which is actually a split winner.
So there are going to be two winners.
Two winners, that's right, two winners. So they're going to split the prize, because the prize is £100.
Yeah, £100.
Yes, okay. So, right, the first winner is Benji Appleby Tyler. Benji, who combines text and images of dolls to communicate and raise awareness of child abuse. And the second winner, the split winner, is Lydia, and her passionate portrayal using Barbie dolls to enact scenes of domestic violence. And before I hand straight back over, I just wanted to again say, Benji, if you look on his site, there's such an interesting piece, the self-isolation dollhouse and also the coronavirus wallpaper. And thinking about the significance of walls that we build around us psychologically or mentally to protect ourselves, keeping ourselves safe in COVID times, but how it has a kind of new meaning as people have been sort of, well, thrown together or apart in isolation during lockdown. And Benji says, in my adult life, when feeling at my worst, I often isolate myself in order to heal during this current crisis that we all face. Oh, thank you. The government advice is to stay at home in order to protect the NHS and save lives. I've created a dollhouse with coronavirus wallpaper, the BBC News on the TV, and my laptop showing how I've had to set up on an online exhibition. So interesting body of work there to explore. And Lydia, who we've had the chance to hear from today, and her brave work, her billboards, her passionate portrayal through her billboards, causing an outcry at times with her images of Ken attacking Barbie that were too upsetting for people. So in an attempt to raise awareness, those images with their very pretty pink images, glamorous, but when you look at them, they're pretty disturbing. Brilliant. Okay, so thank you very much. And I've really loved being involved. Thank you very much, Miranda, for involving me in this project. And I agree very much with what Laura Noble says about the power of building community. So thank you, everybody that's been involved.
Thank you so much, Christine, and to everybody who is judging and who supported the show, the art show, the posters, the zine, coming soon, near you. Before we close, because I think we're nearly on time, which is good, thank you so much to everybody, and I'm going to hand back over to Gil Sayas.
Thank you, Miranda, and thank you, everybody, and Christine for judging and giving the really great overview of all of the posters of the chosen artists. And congratulations to Benji and Lydia. I'm feeling that this is one of the most important exhibitions that we had, and we will continue to promote it as much as you can, but it's in the end of all of us. We know that the media, not always, to say the least, give enough attention to this subject. So we'll have to do whatever we can in social media to show the work. The zine should be, the zine will include the work in the exhibition, the posters, all of the 16 posters, and interviews and other textual material, and I think poetry as well. As far as I remember, Irene said it will be out in about 2 weeks. There is an open call if you would like to respond to anything in the exhibition, either contributing more visual material or textual material. There is an open call on CI's website, or contact directly Miranda for submissions. It's in the end of Irene to decide. We are limited in what we can publish, of course, but there is another, I think, few days to submit more material if you want to show it in the zine. It will be out, and you'll get an email saying when it's out. You can to purchase this. The art that participate will get free copies. For we having, Miranda, another event. Do you want to mention it before I'll say about the next exhibition?
In terms of doing a workshop?
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't set the date for it yet, but what I'll do is make that available through probably through Twitter and through SEAS website, a closed workshop for survivors of domestic abuse. Okay. So that will be a closed workshop. We'll send the information out. It might happen over 2 parts, half an hour and half an hour, or maybe an hour, but I'll let people know about that. But again, that will be directed, focused and directed at expressing yourself. So coming out of what we've just done, being able to express yourself, and the outcome not really being as important as the process. So trying to walk the talk with that and encourage everybody to express and use art as much as we can. It's for me, it was a lifesaver, and it still is. So yeah, I've even got a @Gaslighting Art Twitter account now, which I will be posting information on for everybody and sharing with you. I don't think there's any more to say from me. I'd just like to thank all the artists.
Thank you, Miranda. And the exhibition will be... Miranda?
Yeah?
Yeah, do you want to finish? I just wanted to say that, just to mention our next exhibition, which is in about a month's time. This exhibition will be stay live online. As we said, the poster will be at the BMECP for about 2 months, and then we'll go to the Jubilee Library. Our next exhibition will be partly at the BMCP, but is expanding to LGBTQ Center, new center that is about to open in Brighton, the Ledward Center, just next to the Jubilee Library. So there's more room for socially and politically engaged art. Thank you, Miranda.
And yeah, finally, thank you very much to everyone, and I hope we keep work alive and we keep doing something about something that's not going away, and that we can work together. So thank you to everybody for spending the time. Please go and visit the website, contribute to the art resources page if you know any public projects or art projects worldwide, put the link in there. I'll be going back probably every couple of days to try and keep this going. So I've made a commitment to something that I hope is sustainable as well. So thanks again for hosting this, and I don't know, goodbye. Thank you.